Picture this. You are 13 years old. Your name is William, a boy whose face once brought smiles from strangers and envy from rivals. Tonight, that same face will be your curse. You lie on a silk mattress in a chamber so quiet that the tick of oil dripping from the bronze lamp above feels deafening. The scent of rosewater clings to your skin from the bath you were ordered to take before being sent to bed. At first you thought it was a gift, but now, lying in the oppressive stillness of the palace, you realize it was preparation. Then you hear it, the sound that makes your stomach twist. Footsteps, not the light scurrying of servants or the gentle shuffle of eunuchs. These are heavy, deliberate, armored steps echoing against stone. The kind that tells you whoever is coming has authority over life and death, over your life, over your death. And in this palace, a summons in the middle of the night never means mercy. It means your body will be used, and your soul will be tested in ways that make you pray for an end. But mercy isn't a word that exists here. By sunrise, you could be chained in the palace dungeons where screams echo against marble walls, lined with silk to muffle the sound, while men take turns breaking what little remains of you. And here's the terrible part. This was considered the gentle option. What I'm about to tell you actually happened, not to one boy, not to a handful, but to hundreds of boys across centuries in the Ottoman Empire. Their names have been erased, their faces lost to time, but ambassadors, travelers, and even palace records whispered their suffering into history. A Venetian envoy once wrote about screams he heard in the basement of Topkapi Palace, screams that lasted 3 days without pause. He never learned the boy's name, but he understood that those cries had once belonged to someone beloved by the Sultan himself. And now it's your turn, William. You thought you were safe because you were chosen, dressed in silks, fed honey cakes and roasted lamb from distant provinces, taught to smile and bow just so, trained to please the most powerful man in the empire. Your beauty, your youth, your trembling submission, these were your weapons of survival. But tonight, those same qualities have become your death sentence. The door opens. 2 guards step inside. They don't speak. They don't need to. Their silence is louder than any command. One simply gestures with a gloved hand, rise. There is no explanation, no farewell. You follow because not following is unthinkable. The corridors they lead you through are not the ones you know. These are hidden arteries of the palace, pathways you've never seen, where no music plays, where no laughter drifts from distant chambers. The torches burn lower here, casting shadows that cling to the walls like damp rot. Halfway down one corridor they stop. Without a word, one guard draws a small dagger and presses the cold steel to your throat. Not to kill you, no, killing you would be too quick. This is a test. They want to see your reaction. Do you fight? Do you beg? Do you remain silent? Whichever path you choose determines what chamber you'll be taken to. In this palace, your own instincts betray you, because every option leads to horror. The very walls themselves tell you a story if you look closely enough. Silk drapes cover stone, not for beauty, but to muffle sound. Thick carpets spread across the floors, their patterns carefully chosen to disguise stains. Every 20 feet, a guard stands in silence, eyes blank, body rigid. And between them, carved discreetly into the woodwork, are symbols. Small plaques marking the functions of the rooms beyond each door. A flower here, a crescent there, innocent shapes to the untrained eye. To insiders, they are codes for pain, chambers for testing, chambers for breaking, chambers for remaking. Finally, the guards stop before a door unlike the others. Heavy oak, iron-banded, with a keyhole blackened from centuries of use. The guard produces a key heavier than any you've ever seen. When he turns it, you hear the metallic click that sounds like the end of a prayer. The door swings open, not to a dungeon, not to a stone cell filled with chains, but to a room decorated with cruel deception. A bed covered in fine cushions, a carpet woven with delicate patterns, a window barred with iron, framing the Sultan's private garden where new favorites stroll in the sunshine. This place is called the Cage, a prison built to resemble a sanctuary. The door slams behind you, and it is then, in that suffocating silence, that you begin to understand. This room wasn't designed to keep you comfortable. It was designed to break your mind before they even touch your body. You look closer. The cushions are stained with something darker than wine, marks that no soap could scrub away. The wooden bed frame bears scratches, deep grooves where fingernails once clawed in desperation. The carpet shows burns, small circles where coals were dropped during interrogations. These are not accidents, they are decorations, warnings, proof of what happened to the boys who came before you. And the window, the window is the cruelest trick of all. It lets you see the living. You watch as other boys, newer favorites, laugh in the Sultan's garden, their silk robes catching sunlight you'll never feel again. Beyond the garden wall, you glimpse the cemetery, unmarked graves where discarded boys were buried in silence. The view is not meant to give you light. It is meant to show you what you've lost forever. Then comes the first act of cruelty disguised as kindness. On the second day, a servant enters silently and hands you a letter. Your heart pounds. The paper is sealed with the Sultan's mark written in his hand. It says you are forgiven, that he wants to see you again, that the punishment is lifted. For a moment, hope floods through you like fire. You imagine walking free, wearing silks again, hearing your name spoken with affection. But then you notice, the ink is too fresh. The parchment smells wrong. The seal bears a tiny flaw you remember the Sultan's hand would never allow. This isn't salvation. This is the first stage of torture, the false letter technique, perfected by Ottoman tormentors to raise hope only to shatter it. Because hope is a sharper weapon than fear. And you realize something chilling. The torture hasn't started with chains or whips. It has started with your mind, with hope, with memory. And they know that once hope is destroyed, a boy is easier to rebuild. Days pass. The rich meals of lamb and sugared fruits vanish. In their place, bowls of rice, stale bread, cloudy water. At first, you think it's punishment, but then you understand, it's preparation. Starvation doesn't just weaken your body, it weakens your will. It makes your thoughts foggy, your resolve soft. Hunger doesn't just strip muscle, it strips dignity. And just when you think you are adjusting, the guards change the game. One morning, a section of the carpet collapses beneath your feet, dropping you into a hidden chamber below. You land hard, uninjured, but shaken. It isn't the fall that matters, it's the message. Even the ground beneath you cannot be trusted. Every surface, every comfort, every hope, every illusion, everything can be pulled away in an instant. And as you lie on the cold stone of that hidden chamber, staring at the torchlight above, one question sears through your mind like a brand. If this is only the beginning, what comes next? You don't remember how long you were left lying in that hidden chamber, staring at the ceiling crack where torchlight seeped through. Hours? Days? Time dissolves in the palace. Meals don't come regularly anymore. Sleep is stolen in fragments. The silence itself gnaws at you until you'd beg for noise, any noise, to prove the world still exists beyond your own heartbeat. Then, the sound you dreaded, footsteps above, not soft, not clumsy, steady, purpose. The guards again. They lower a rope, not to pull you up, but to drag you deeper down. The air grows colder as they lead you through a stairwell carved into the palace's hidden bones. Each step smells older than the last. Dust, mold, sweat, something sour. By the time you reach the bottom, the air is thick with it. Fear has a smell, and you are walking into its source. The underground chambers don't look like prisons. They look like laboratories. Each room has a function, each purpose refined over centuries. This is not chaos. This is craft. The first chamber strips you of identity. Literally, your hair is cut in jagged patterns, shaved into humiliating shapes that mark you as a prisoner before you even understand it. The silks that once clothed you are ripped away and tossed into the flames, burning like a funeral pyre for the boy you used to be. One guard mutters a phrase under his breath, not to you, but to himself, the first death. You wonder if he means the death of your body or of your name. They don't bother chaining you yet. They don't have to. They know fear holds stronger than iron. The second chamber is colder, darker. Here, they introduce you to a boy who came before you, or what's left of him. His body is still warm, his eyes still open, but his face is frozen in the kind of terror no living soul should know. The cuts across his skin aren't random. They're deliberate, carved like writing, each line telling a story of defiance punished. The guards make sure you look. They make sure you understand. Resistance doesn't just bring death, it brings spectacle. His body is not a warning, it's a lesson. And yet, the third chamber is worse. Because here, not all the boys are dead. You see them, lined up against the walls, sitting in corners, some standing, some rocking back and forth. Their faces are blank masks. Some smile while tears streak down their cheeks. One whispers praise to the guards who hurt him. Another, younger than you, clutches the guard's hand like a child clings to a parent. These are not prisoners anymore. They are examples, living trophies. Boys who were once like you, beautiful, defiant, terrified, now twisted into something else. You realize, with a sickening lurch in your stomach, that these aren't survivors. They're advertisements, proof of the palace's power to remake souls. And then it is your turn. They bring in another boy, someone you've never seen before. His name is Thomas. He's younger than you, wide-eyed, trembling. The guards explain the rule in a tone so casual it feels like discussing. The weather, one of you will be tortured, the other will watch. You may choose. You want to protest, to shout that there must be another way. But the guard's silence tells you what you already know. There is no other way. Sacrifice yourself, and they will break you with your own pain. Sacrifice him, and they will break you with guilt. The choice itself is the torture. Thomas looks at you, pleading, as if you hold his fate in your hands. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Either way, you realize you've already lost, because the very act of choosing damns you. When you hesitate too long, they make the choice for you. And the lesson is carved into your memory. Here, even your morality isn't yours anymore. They call it remaking, not killing you, but unmaking who you are and rebuilding something new from the wreckage. It doesn't begin with beatings or chains. It begins with something far more devastating: words. During the marking sessions, they carve symbols into your skin. Tiny scars, deliberate tattoos, a crescent on the shoulder for intelligence work, a star on the wrist for seduction, a dot behind the ear for those broken enough to keep secrets. Each mark is a brand, a label declaring your new function in the Sultan's arsenal. But the real cruelty comes with what they force you to repeat as they cut. I am nothing without my master. My beauty exists only to serve. I deserve what happens. The words burn deeper than the blade, and then they push the cruelty further still. They use your body against your mind. The cuts, the pressure, the humiliation, timed with forced pleasure, until your own body betrays you. Until pain begins to blur with relief. Until your mind learns to associate obedience with survival, degradation with reward. It is at this moment you understand the true artistry of the palace's tormentors. They don't just want your obedience, they want your gratitude. You begin to see patterns in their methods. The punishments aren't random. They're lessons in a curriculum designed for one subject: helplessness. Phase 1, helplessness. Every escape attempt is punished so severely you stop trying. Even the ground, the walls, the furniture, everything proves untrustworthy. Phase 2, conditioning. They whisper commands, and your body responds before your mind does. You flinch, you kneel, you lower your head, not because you think, but because you've been trained. Phase 3, loyalty breaking. They make you betray others, forcing you to deliver secrets or watch friends suffer. Every bond is severed until you are alone with nothing but your captors. But the most terrifying is Phase 4, gratitude. They hurt you until you are desperate, then stop. They hand you water. They let you rest. They smile and stroke your hair. And in that moment, you feel something so vile, it makes you want to vomit. Relief. Relief so intense it feels like love. And just when you think you've reached the bottom, they show you what comes next. They lead you past another chamber. This one is filled with objects, trinkets, letters, keepsakes, a necklace, a scrap of clothing, a lock of hair, all of it taken from boys like you, collected and catalogued. A box is opened, and inside you see something familiar. A ring, your ring, the one your mother gave you before you left home. You'd thought it lost. Instead, it's here, in their hands, used as... They place the ring on another boy's finger, then torture him while you watch. The message is unmistakable. Your memories belong to them, your family belongs to them, even your past belongs to them. You are no longer William. You are a collection of scars, a list of functions, a body to be deployed like a soldier's sword or a scribe's pen. And yet the cruelest part isn't what they're doing to you. It's what they make you imagine. Because the guards whisper softly, almost kindly, "One day you will thank us." You want to scream, to insist that no human could ever thank the people who did this. But then you see the other boys, smiling, praising, clinging to their tormentors like children clutching fathers. And in the pit of your stomach, you feel it. The fear that one day you'll be just like them. And that fear is worse than any chain. Days blur into nights, or maybe it's nights into days. You can't tell anymore. Underground, the sun does not exist. The only rhythm is theirs. The timing of footsteps, the sound of locks, turning, the scrape of wooden bowls pushed through iron bars. Your body weakens, but that isn't an accident. Weakness is part of the design. Hunger hollows your stomach, blurs your thoughts, makes your hands tremble when you try to lift even the smallest cup of water. At first you think this is punishment, but then you understand weakness is training. It makes you pliable, suggestible. It erodes the William you were until he feels like a fading dream. The real training begins quietly, not with a whip or a knife, but with instructions delivered in voices so calm they sound almost fatherly. Kneel, stand, lower your head, hold still. At first you obey out of fear, but then something worse happens. You begin obeying automatically, before the words even finish. Your body learns faster than your mind, and that terrifies you more than any pain. This is phase 2, conditioning. It doesn't stop at obedience. They reshape your response. They teach your body to react to certain tones of voice, certain gestures. A raised hand becomes a command to silence. A snap of fingers makes your knees buckle. The sight of silk ropes brings not terror, but expectation. And each time you obey without thinking, you feel a piece of yourself vanish. Then comes the breaking of loyalty. The guards know you don't just fear them. You still remember bonds of friendship, of family. Those ties must be severed. One evening, they bring in another boy, older, stronger. You know him from the palace gardens. His name was Edward, one of the Sultan's favorites before you. They sit you across from each other, and the guard whispers, "Tell us his secrets, or he suffers." You stay silent. Edward looks at you, pleading. The guard nods, and Edward screams as the rope digs into his arms. Again the whisper, "Tell us, or he suffers." And when you finally break, when you whisper even the smallest truth, you realize what they've stolen. Not just your pride, your loyalty, your friend, your very ability to keep faith with anyone but them. And then, the cruelest stage begins. Gratitude. The guards starve you for 2 days. Then they bring a cup of water, a morsel of bread. They smile as they hand it over, speaking softly, almost tenderly. "Good boy." And to your horror, you feel it. Relief so sharp it feels like love. You want to hate them, but when the bread touches your tongue, you look at the man who gave it to you, and some small part of you wants to thank him. And that terrifies you most of all. But the palace doesn't just break you. It replaces you. One night they lead you to a hidden gallery, a narrow corridor with latticed windows looking into familiar rooms. At first, you don't understand. Then you see it. Your old quarters. The silk bed, the carved chest, the lamp that once lit your dreams. But someone else is inside. A boy. Younger, dressed in your silks, wearing your jewelry, laughing the way you used to laugh when you thought yourself untouchable. The guards make sure you watch. They whisper in your ear, describing how the new boy is already pleasing the Sultan, how he's learned your gestures, how he's taken your place at the table, in the garden, in the Sultan's bed. And then comes the final knife twist. They tell you his name. It isn't Thomas. It isn't Edward. It's William. Your name. Because erasing you isn't enough. They must replace you so thoroughly that the world forgets you ever existed. You press your hands to the window lattice, desperate to scream, but no sound escapes. And even if it did, no one would hear. Because while you rot underground, your name is being rewritten above. Your old possessions are handed to others. Your name is struck from records. Eunuchs patrol the palace halls, punishing anyone who dares speak of you. Letters to your family are intercepted. Neighbors begin to whisper that your parents were cursed. One day, their house will be seized, and they will vanish too, relocated, forgotten. The erasure isn't just about you. It's about everyone connected to you. By the time the palace is finished, it will be as if William never lived. And still, the training goes on. They make you teach others. Yes, you are forced to sit with a new boy, fresh from the outside world, his eyes wide with the same terror you once carried. You're told to explain the rules, to tell him resistance is useless, to describe what happens when he disobeys. You want to warn him, to shout the truth, but the guards stand close, and their eyes remind you of the punishment waiting if you fail. So you do it. You break another boy, and the moment you hear yourself speaking the palace's words, a sickness grips your chest that no whip could match. But the guards don't punish you for the sickness. They reward you for it. A kind smile, a sip of wine, a pat on the shoulder. And though you want to recoil, some desperate, hollow part of you craves their... Every night the palace takes a little more of you. Your sleep, your hunger, your loyalty, your name. And just when you think there's nothing left to take, they give you something instead, a test. You are handed a sealed letter. The wax bears the Sultan's mark. The guard tells you it's real this time, that if you deliver the contents faithfully, you will be spared further torment. Your hands tremble as you open it, and as your eyes scan the words, your heart breaks in two, because the letter is not addressed to you, it's addressed to your replacement, to the new William, and it's filled with the same words you once received: praise, affection, promises of eternal favor. The guard leans close and whispers, "You are not even worth lying to anymore." And in that moment you understand, this isn't just punishment, it's annihilation. And yet, the story isn't finished, because what happens next is worse than anything so far. They don't just want to erase William, they want to turn what's left of him into something useful. And to do that, they must put you to the final. The final test doesn't come with fanfare. No grand announcement, no chains rattling in the dark. It begins with something far quieter. A voice, not the bark of a guard, not the cold commands of a eunuch. This voice is warm, low, almost soothing. It belongs to a man you've never seen before. He wears plain robes, no ornament, no sword, and that makes him the most terrifying figure yet. He introduces himself as a specialist, not in punishment, not in pain, in remaking. He tells you his role isn't to hurt you, it's to help you. His smile never reaches his eyes. At first he asks simple questions. Do you miss the sun? What food did you love most as a child? Who was your first friend? The questions are disarming, almost kind, but each answer you give is written down, not on parchment, on you. Your words are reflected back later in cruel, twisted ways. The meal you confess to loving becomes the slop you're force-fed until you get. The name of your first friend becomes the word they spit at you while striking your back. Even your happiest memories become weapons. This is the true heart of remaking, taking what once defined you and corrupting it until you can no longer trust even your own mind. And then comes the test of betrayal. You are led into a room with another concubine, Thomas, the boy who once begged you not to choose him. His face is pale, his body trembling. A guard hands you a sheet of parchment. On it are details about Thomas, secrets, weaknesses, the things he fears most. They tell you to speak these aloud, to condemn him. At first you stay silent. You think silence is strength, but then Thomas is struck across the face, hard enough to make blood drip from his nose. The guard says gently, "Your silence is his suffering." You break. You read the words. Each one feels like a blade cutting into your own chest. And Thomas looks at you, not with anger, not even with despair, with understanding. Because he knows one day, he'll do the same to someone else. When the parchment is taken from your hands, you realize what you've lost. Not just dignity, not just loyalty, your ability to protect anyone. But the worst test is yet to come. They bring you into a chamber with a boy younger than you, perhaps 12 at most. His name is Henry, he whispers, voice trembling. He's new, untouched, still clinging to hope. And they give you a task. Explain the rules of the palace. Show him that resistance is useless. Convince him to surrender before the pain begins. You want to warn him, to tell him to fight, to never give in. But the guards stand close, their eyes promising torment if you stray from the script. So you do it. You take Henry's hand, and with your voice shaking, you tell him the lies they once told you. You tell him obedience is survival. You tell him pain is temporary, but disobedience is permanent. You watch as the light fades from his eyes, and you realize you've become their. And when it's over, they smile and pat your shoulder. They call you useful. And you feel it again, that twisted rush of relief. This is the moment you understand. You are no longer being remade. You are remade. From here, your training shifts. No more torture chambers. No more tests of loyalty. Now you are polished like a weapon, sharpened for use. You are taught to read documents upside down, as if by accident. To remember entire conversations word for word while appearing too broken to understand. You learn the art of silence, how to be present in a room without being noticed, how to catch secrets meant for others. You are trained in seduction, but not for pleasure, for extraction. Every sigh, every glance, every tremor of your hand becomes a tool to make men reveal what they'd never say sober. You realize, with mounting horror, that the palace has turned your brokenness into power. Your silence is a disguise. Your shattered eyes make others underestimate you. Your very suffering makes you invisible. And invisibility is the perfect mask for espionage. Then comes the deployment. One night you are dressed again in silk, not the silks of a favored concubine, too bright, too soft. These are darker, subtler, designed to move through shadows. You are placed in a carriage and told nothing. Hours later, you emerge in the home of a governor who has dared to resist the Sultan's orders. You are led to his chamber, He sees you, and the message is instant, undeniable. He recognizes what you are. Not a gift, not a lover, but a warning. This is what happens to those the Sultan once favored. Imagine what happens to those he despises. The governor bends. He signs the decree, and you understand your role. You are no longer William, son of a family long erased. You are no longer the boy who once laughed in gardens. You are a weapon, a silent blade, a living threat carried into the homes of men too powerful to be touched by armies. And yet, the palace is not. After months of such missions, they summon you back. You expect more training, more punishments. Instead, you are brought to the grand hall. And there, sitting on his throne, is the Sultan himself. It has been years since you last saw him. Years since his hand touched your hair, since his voice called you beautiful. For a moment, some ruined part of you longs for his gaze, and then you realize that longing was planted there, cultivated by every whisper, every command, every scrap of kindness the palace allowed you. The hall is full, courtiers, eunuchs, guards, new favorites. You are not presented in private, you are displayed. The Sultan gestures, and you kneel before him. He does not smile, he does not frown. He studies you the way a craftsman studies his work. And then, with the entire court watching, he gives you a choice. Return to your old life or remain in your new role. The choice is a lie and you know it. Your old life is gone. Your family is erased. Your name was stolen. Even your body is no longer. Freedom would be emptiness, terror, the collapse of the fragile self they have built inside you. So you do what almost every boy before you has done. You bow your head, place your forehead to the cold marble floor, and beg to remain. The court gasps. Some sneer, some laugh, but the Sultan smiles. For the first time in years, he smiles. And you realize this was the true final test. Not whether you would obey, but whether you would choose obedience. Whether you would not just surrender, but crave it. In that moment, you are no longer a victim. You are no longer even a slave. You are something worse, a volunteer. And the court applauds. Your transformation is complete. The palace has proven its power, not just over your body, not just over your mind, but over your soul. And the echo of that applause is the sound that will follow you for the rest of your life, long after your name, your real name, is gone forever.